CBS Sports has been pumping out a ton of different rankings. We'll get to the triplets in just a moment. But they went ahead and gave us the best duos on each team. And these will be on one specific side of the ball. They went with the defensive pairing for a few and offensive pairing for others. You know, like the Bills get Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Meanwhile, the Bears are their two new linebackers with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, who they got from the Philadelphia Eagles. So if I were to say, hey, who do you think the Cowboys' best duo is? Who are you rocking with? And is it an offensive or defensive pairing?
It's Zach Martin and Terrence Steele.
Oh, that's actually a good answer.
How about that, fellas?
I like that answer a lot.
Open shut case.
Kind of feel like it could be their corners.
Okay, Diggs and Gilmore.
Yeah, could be their corners there.
I like that.
I think it's going to be Parsons and Sam Williams this year. That's going to be my duo. Duo of dominance.
Do you feel like can you split them up?
Yeah, you could put. What do you mean?
Like
one offense, one defense? No, we're not doing that. They've got to be on the same side of the ball.
Stop trying to break them.
I know.
Just play within the rules.
Because that's just your best players, right? They're not playing together. Like a duo, you've got to be at least playing together on the same side of the ball. Yeah. So CBS Sports goes Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs.
I'm always trying to kind of circumvent the rules a little bit.
Wow.
I get it, but we're going to keep it specific. They got to be on the same side of the football. Parsons and Diggs together, the two best players they write on the Cowboys. Defense just happens to be their biggest playmakers. Parsons led the NFL with 90 quarterback pressures last season, pressuring opposing quarterbacks just under 20% of their passes. That also led the league. Diggs, 17 interceptions in his first 3 seasons, fourth most by any player since 2000. His 3.4% missed tackle percentage was 5th among corners as opposing quarterbacks had a 71 passer rating targeting him last season. So they're going with Diggs and Parsons. That's a good one right there.
Wait, so what'd they give him on the tackle percentage? I missed that.
He only missed 3.4% of his tackles.
Which was top 5?
Top 4.
Top 4.
Among all corners in the NFL.
So they're saying that's good. Okay. Now, the problem with that stat is it only accounts for the ones you actually attempt.
Yes.
And so he avoids them, so he can't even, like, there's times where you can obviously see he could have made an attempt to make the tackle. He elected not to, and now it doesn't get factored into the missed tackle percentage.
But it goes to show you when he wants to, he can do it. And that's the frustrating thing about Diggs.
No question. And I think he's proven more often than not he doesn't want to.
Now, they've been a top 10 defense in points allowed per game in each of the last 2 seasons with Parsons and Diggs. So I understand them putting those two there. Offensively, you could go Dak and CeeDee Lamb if you wanted to.
Sure.
I think that. I'm excited for the pairing of Lamb and Cooks, though. At wide receiver.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
I think there's going to be a ton of explosive plays made between those two, and I think CeeDee Lamb continues to just ascend year after year after year. He's just getting better and better. You add a weapon now, and Brandon Cooks opposite him that teams have to account for the deep speed. I think it's going to open things up even more for CD.
Well, it is. My hope is that they figure out a way to, and I never kid, and maybe this is where Brian Schottenheimer can win me over. As good as CeeDee Lamb is, I think he could be even better.
I agree.
And I feel like he could be better, and I just don't quite get, and maybe Schottenheimer's done this. Maybe you go to the point where go back and watch him play at Oklahoma. You know, go back and kind of get an idea of like what made this guy. I mean, you know, we keep talking about him as one of the top receivers in the NFL, which is rightfully so. But there's so many things that Lincoln Riley did with him at Oklahoma that made him so much more explosive. And I think that's where, you know, he took over that Giants game there early in the season.
Yeah, had a bad first half.
Yeah, and then the second half. That he's capable of playing like that every week. And I just wonder if they really have figured out. You know, I bet you there are other teams that watch him play and go, God, what if you did this with him?
We've heard it with players that have been interviewed, like who are your top 5 receivers, who are the best route runners in football. Yeah. And a lot of them are now saying it's CeeDee Lamb. Tyreek Hill, who's your favorite wide receiver to watch? CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
We've seen him in college with one of the best offensive minds in all of football, NFL or not, in Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And you saw the things he was capable of. Now, certainly those are Big 12 defenses, and I understand
Jalen
that difference.
Hurts throwing to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? See, to me, that's I want this new staff, if anything, to do what we're starting to see on defense, where you take Curse, where you take Van Der Esch, you take Parsons, and you play them to their strengths. You really say, okay, we're going to put you over here and let you do this.
I mean, when you boil down what's a great coach, especially like a coordinator type coach, that is like really the root of it.
Absolutely.
Like getting the most out of the players that you have.
No question. Putting them in a position to succeed, and even in different and multiple roles, and that's why we have the faith in Dan Quinn.
How about Pollard? It took them all that, they finally kind of figured out what Pollard can do, and I still feel like there's still more there.
Yeah, because they still played Zeke way too much.
There's still more there. There's still more with screen packages. There's still more with deceptives.
Yes.
The way they can run the ball. There's ways they can throw him the ball. There's all these
think
different
about
things.
the screen game.
I just wonder how much these Cowboy players, it seems like everybody around the league like acknowledges that they've got a really good roster, but they probably feel like, but man, they're not used like they should be.
It's been an issue that's dated back even to Jason Garrett, and players would leave, whether it's Bryce Butler, Cole Beasley, and they're talking about how they were pigeonholed within the offense. And, okay, they find one thing that they do really well, and that's the only thing they were asked to do. I think Michael Gallup has seen some of that over the course of his career as well. I don't think that changed a ton under Kellen Moore, despite the offensive efficiency rankings and how many yards they were able to put up and the points they were able to put up. I think that is a serious question. And does this offensive coaching staff with the turnover end up being able to execute that and get more out of some of these guys?
If they get more, there's really no limit for this team, in my opinion. I mean, as much as I've talked about Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia's got a really good roster, but to me, where Dallas, if they figure out very early in this how to get their offensive players going, and going in a way that we haven't seen before. All of a sudden, it's CeeDee Lamb, 12 targets, 9 receptions, 135 yards, those types of game, like what we see with Jefferson and how he plays.
Well, Jefferson's playing like the greatest receiver of all time.
See, like that's what I'm saying. But I think
you parse through his numbers.
I think CeeDee Lamb could be just as comparable to that type of a player.
I think Jefferson has set himself apart to where, okay, this dude is more next level than any of these guys. And it's not an indictment on CeeDee Lamb at all.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble here. I'm not trying to get you the fans on you or anything like that.
Do it.
But you don't
get in trouble.
You don't feel like that Lamb, and be honest, really be honest about it. You don't feel like that Lamb has some of the traits that Jefferson has?
I mean, yes, he's got some of those traits for sure, but I think.
But you can't be in. You'll think he could be in that level where, okay, yeah,
you're talking
Jefferson's one, and he's like nipping on his heels, kind of right there, kind of a guy.
I don't think it's quite there, and I have all the love in the world for CeeDee Lamb. He is a bona fide number one wide receiver. There's a ton of great ones in the NFL right now.
What's holding him back then?
The drops, I think, is the biggest difference between the two for me. I think CD, we have seen at times the drops can be an issue. Justin Jefferson, his ability to catch in traffic and make some of those plays.
He plays Diggs.
To me, I don't think that you see drops from Justin Jefferson. Now, I'm not watching every single snap week in and week out like I am with CD.
Right.
So Viking fans might say, no, there's a little bit of a flaw that you can point out with Justin Jefferson. To me, I think early on in their first few years, the drops are the one thing that's been the biggest weakness for CD, and that wasn't something we saw a lot in college.
See, and for me, it's not even to say what is CD not. It's just more so to just highlight what Justin Jefferson is. It's just what we're witnessing with Justin Jefferson right now, and we have to acknowledge that the numbers reflect and the efficiency rates reflect in terms of catch rates and stuff like that. We're talking about one of the guys that is elevating himself to where if he keeps up the production that he's had, you're talking about being in the top 5 wide receivers of all time conversation. And I don't think that CeeDee Lamb or many receivers in the league now, as great as there is a large quantity of really, 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 really good receivers in the NFL right now. Justin Jefferson is one that is, when you stretch it all out, I mean, he has 700 plus more yards at age 23 than Randy Moss had. He is like where he's going right now is just insane.
He's been on a crazy pace.
His league minimum right now, like I think his season minimum is like 1,400 yards.
Yeah. And one of his worst games, his kryptonite, Trevon Diggs, traveling and covering him.
I'm just saying, though, to me, I feel like that this coaching staff I think CeeDee Lamb has overcame some of the problems with this coaching staff, the previous coaching staff, or the previous how they used him. I think he's got.
His numbers are skewed. To your point, he played the majority of his rookie season with Andy Dalton, minus 3 games, was it? 2.5 games, and then he played 5 games with Cooper Rush. So CeeDee's numbers could end up being better, but I do think going into that draft, I thought CeeDee was the best receiver. I had him ahead of Justin Jefferson. Over the course of their careers to this point, Jefferson is definitely the better player. But CeeDee, I don't think is that far behind.
I just feel like, gosh, it just, to me, that's the first thing that I'm going to try and figure out this year. Like, how are they using him differently? You know, could Cooks open up even more things for him?
I think he should. He should open up things a lot for all the guys on the offense, because last year they didn't have any speed threat. And Brandon Cooks is more than just a speed threat. He's a legit wide receiver that you have to respect no matter what. But like, his speed is a huge portion of his skill set that defenses are going to have to appreciate now. And that's going to open up things in the middle of the field for guys like CeeDee Lamb to work. I do think Kellen Moore really leaned into, and it took a little bit of time, but CeeDee Lamb playing from the slot and really getting him in motion and moving him around. And you saw the next-gen stats of CeeDee Lamb being maybe the best slot receiver in the NFL last year, especially when he was on the move and moving at the snap and stuff like that. So kudos to Kellen Moore for unlocking some of that, and hopefully you get a ton more of that, plus the screen game and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I'm very excited for what CeeDee Lamb and the opportunity he's going to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got the potential to put himself up there with the Jeffersons and the Chases and some of these better players.
And that's one of the biggest issues with Kellen Moore was all the route concepts and stuff.
That's
so vanilla.
So that's where I'm at right now.
No, I think the coaching is a big factor in this. And Kevin O'Connell, coming from the McVay system, I think unlocked a lot with Jefferson. He did it with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Similar deal, right? Cooper Kupp's another one of these guys. We haven't been talking about him because he was hurt last year, but that's another receiver. How are you utilizing him within your offense, putting him in position to succeed, get open, the separation, running through trash? He's matched up against a linebacker. These are not things you've seen utilized with the Cowboys receivers. I think you're 100% right. What do you think the Cowboys triplets rank? Now, this would be quarterback and receivers. It can be a combination of running back, wide receiver. It can be a wide receiver and a tight end, depending on what your best skill sets are. But it'll be the quarterback and then essentially your 2 best offensive players for the Cowboys. They're going with Dak, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb. Where would you put them amongst triplets in the NFL?
Certainly top 10.
6.
6th?
6th.
Ding, 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 ding. Brian Broaddus, you are correct. They are 6th. They are the only team in Tier 3 on CBS Sports rankings. Tier 2, tell me if you think these teams are better. The Chargers, Herbert, Eckler, Allen. You taking our 3 or their 3? I'm taking CeeDee over Allen.
Yes.
Pollard and Eckler, ooh, that's close.
It's a wash.
And then I'd take Herbert over Dak.
I mean, I think what we've big picture, I would take Herbert over Dak. But I think for one game right now, I'll take the Cowboys.
Herbert's,
I'll take the Cowboys.
You know what?
Big 3.
As much as I've loved Herbert over the years, he needs to
Herbert needs to do something in the postseason.
He needs to show up a little bit.
He can just do things and make some throws that Dak can't.
He's
no question.
Just physically.
He's a physically stand in there and throw the ball. And when he has to move, he can move well enough.
But I agree. Herbert needs to actually do something in terms of winning substantial games.
To be fair, he had one of the worst offensive coordinators in the league over the last couple of years.
And they still ranked as one of the better offenses. I mean, you looked at him every week. You were thinking, like, holy crap, that's an offense I'm going to struggle to prepare for.
Hey, who knows? He might struggle with this guy, too.
With Kellen?
With Kellen, yeah.
They got Josh Allen of the Bills, James Cook, their running back, and Stephon Diggs at 4. Eagles are at 3. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. You can either go Devontae Smith if you want. You can go Dallas Goedert. I'd probably go Smith and Brown. Chiefs are 2 with Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and they're going Isaiah Pacheco. Number 1, best set of triplets in the league. The Bengals, Burrow, Mixon, Chase. That's hard to argue.
I would argue that Mixon's not a part of that triplet group. Does it have to be
Higgins?
Running back?
It doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay,
you can replace Mixon with Higgins if you want.
Higgins for sure.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But I I would put probably the Bengals at 1. I don't disagree with them.
They get a nice weapon in that Hayden Hurst, by the way, at tight end.
They do.
I mean, he came in there. Not many people thought much about that move they made, but that was a solid move for the Bengals, and Joe Burrow took advantage of that.
Well, the Cowboys got themselves a good set of offensive triplets and their best duo on defense. Again, most complete team I think Dak Prescott's ever had. Let's go out there and finally make a conference championship game, shall we?
Yeah, that's the bar,
Offensive
man.
coaches have got that. That has got to be early. That has got to be early. There's no time for, hey, we're going to wait 6 weeks and try and figure things out here.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing needs to be right out of the box, right out of the jump. All those things you want to say, that thing needs to be not lacking in any way.
No, agreed.